Welcome to the Building Texas Show, where we find the leaders behind the businesses and organizations driving progress in Texas. In each episode, we share the stories of innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders committed to evolving Texas into its next era. I'm your host, Justin McKenzie, your guide to help you think about how to engage in the movement and support Building Texas across the entire state. Founded by German freethinkers determined to find freedom from dictatorial monarchies and clerics, Comfort, Texas remains an unincorporated census-designated area today. To that end, Comfort residents and businesses historically relied on community support and a spirit of the possible to be successful. To this day, Comfort is a place where people gather, they celebrate, and tap into the essence of the earliest settlers of the Texas Hill Country. Comfort is known in the region for its annual Christmas in Comfort celebration and is an ideal spot for tourists and weekend travelers wanting to experience the magic of the Texas Hill Country without the crowds. Welcome back to this episode of the Building Texas Show. We're sitting in Comfort, Texas, and I'm excited to talk about manufacturing, some off-grid technologies, everything power, I think. And as we put power into play, we have wiring and we have light manufacturing, but Connexa does all of that. And I've had the privilege to work with Connexa professionally in my past career, and I've seen the work that they're doing make a difference across the state and really around the world. And we're sitting here with the founder and CEO, Mike Postel, who is really building something unique here in Comfort and has been for a while. And I really want to understand, Mike, how'd you end up in Comfort and why are you building Connexa in Comfort?
Yeah, it's a great question and get that question a lot.
Yeah.
So, it's not a super exciting story necessarily, but we started in Bernie.
Okay.
And as we grew, we steadily have been growing over the past 15, 16 years. We would upgrade our facilities. Well, we got to the point where we needed to really look at a larger building. So we said we want to go ahead and make the commitment to build our own. So looking for land, we ended up finding that Comfort was the spot. So went ahead and secured a piece of property there and built the facility that we have today. It's been also growing across the years, but yeah, that's basically how it happened.
Well, and as your product shifted over that 15 years, there's been a lot of innovation in the space that you're in, and we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
But I want to call out, and we're going to keep coming back to, you're right next to Comfort High School.
We are.
And for kids growing up in Comfort High School, what a great opportunity to see a modern company. And I consider you that because you're distributed, you're serving a global market, and you're in a space around power generation, power like battery capture, solar, distributed communications across the oil field as an example, with where there just isn't infrastructure. Yeah. And you're the solution. Connexa has a solution that drops in and creates infrastructure.
Yeah.
One of many other products that you do. But for those high school students or for residents in Comfort that might not know what Connexa does, what an exciting opportunity to work in technology, in an emerging manufacturing line, in a place that really you're investing in a bigger future. And you don't see a lot of that in the Hill Country from a manufacturing standpoint, so I'm honored that we're getting to have this conversation and promote that. What a great place to work.
Yeah, we love the town. Of course, we have a great employee base already, and I agree with you. I'd like to get the message even further out there that it's a great place to learn high-tech job skills and to be in some really modern, forward-thinking technology with cloud. We have software. We have we're powering a lot of electronics and automation using the sun. Battery backup, some of the the latest advancements in batteries that we're working with on a daily basis. So a lot of great opportunities and a bunch of different skill sets. We have a robot that makes wire harnesses, best world class in Comfort, Texas. So yeah, we're really excited to be manufacturing these systems here and shipping them globally. So our systems made here, they're in Africa, Middle East, Latin America, South America, of course across our country. But
so help me understand, what is a Connexa system?
yeah, so it's for the most part, it's an autonomous power system, so it's deployable infrastructure. For the most part, they're a structure with the power system on it. It's shippable. You can set it in place, flip the breakers on, and you have a power source. In general, we're recharged by the sun, primarily. We also participate in battery backup and redundancy type of applications, but this is going to be for the security industry. We do oil and gas, telecom, ag tech. We do water projects. So we're using the sun to charge batteries and the power systems remotely.
And that's a big deal because let's just use ag tech's a fun one we'll come back to, but oil and gas, everybody can associate.
Yeah.
They see a pump jack out in the middle of nowhere and it's going, but there's no power lines running there. There's no communication lines running there. And it would be very expensive to do that. In a traditional grid-tied way, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
So you're taking your deployable asset, and if you're in Comfort, you've seen the gooseneck trailer with the little structures on them being shipped out of Connexa, and you probably ask, well, what is that and where is it going? But what that infrastructure is really allowing Internet of Things, IoT sensing, to go in to make a cleaner oil patch. It's going into communication structure that will report a fire immediately. And so it's making a safer oil patch. Yeah. And then it's just making it more visible and connected, more efficient.
Yep.
Ultimately.
That's exactly right.
And so the oil and gas industries invested in solar and battery, and they were doing that early because they saw the off-grid potential.
Yep.
But that industry's seen some ebbs and flows and some drops in confidence, increases in confidence, and then you're always chasing how quickly technology evolves. You've been doing this for 15 years. Do you recommend solar to people?
Well, I have to.
You have
obviously
to.
Do. And it doesn't make sense in every application, but it has a very practical benefit.
Yeah.
So in many cases you don't have the opportunity to run grid power to your site.
Yeah.
Whether it is you don't have the rights to do it or whatever the case. But it could be that it just doesn't make financial sense. So we set this system on the ground. It's very easy. Most of the complexity is done in our shop here in Comfort. So when you get to the job site, you set it on the ground, it's ready to go. So people find that to be highly valuable in many cases.
So an applicable example, I think, would be, you mentioned Africa.
Yep.
And I have seen your solution for well pumps.
Yep.
You have a well pump power plant, essentially, that can drop anywhere, and I assume that's probably something that's in Africa today, because moving water's expensive. Moving water, especially out of the ground, requires a lot of electricity. How expensive is that? Is that something that an everyday household would say, oh yeah, I can do that? Or is it more of an investment that a business would have to do?
No, it actually makes pretty good financial sense, depending on where you're at in the stage of the project. If you have an existing well pump and you have to replace it, of course, there's a cost to doing that. If you're going to put in a new pump, my recommendation is put in a solar water pump. You're always going to have water above the ground, regardless of any sort of grid power failure. So, and the systems are very economical nowadays.
Well, and the pricing has just shifted on all of these things. But you're leading edge. And I think you have been throughout your career at Connexa and creating Connexa. You were talking about these things long before it was popular. What got you into this space?
So 2006, somewhere around there, I had an IT company and we needed to power electronics on construction sites. And getting power was extremely difficult. A lot of times not even possible. So we were powering the cameras and different forms of communication with solar. That's how we got into it. And then of course it's been just steadily evolving since.
And you have a bend for aviation. I appreciate your conference room has a cool table that's an airplane wing in it. And we've talked about drones in the past.
Yes.
And I bring it up because, again, a modern company in Comfort, Texas, sitting right next to the high school, and you are thinking about that in a software creation. You're thinking about that in hardware, and then you're thinking about the use case. And what I've enjoyed about our past conversations is we can be really creative about what could we do. But I've seen you take that a step further and execute on it and go present drone solutions, because those drones need to recharge in remote areas and out of the weather.
Yep.
That's a use case of what solar, battery, power, telecommunications creates. Without it, you can't do that type of work.
Sure.
So where do you see those type of investments and those type of products for Connexa?
Yeah, so we're definitely at the conceptual level in the drone space to a smaller degree, and we have a deployable drone airport, which is super cool to
That's fun.
to see. I mean, you can take this thing and just deploy it anywhere, and then it can receive a mission.
Yep.
It's autonomous, so there's an enclosure that allows the drone to be protected. It'll open. There's communication involved. It'll go do its mission, come back, and it'll enclose itself, recharging by the sun. So, of course, that is an application that has so many use cases, and globally you could, especially with a lot of the satellite improvements on internet, you could deploy this thing anywhere and have connectivity.
Well, I think about, we mentioned ag tech, and that's an emerging market. I think people are still trying to figure out what that is.
Right.
You're seeing companies like the big ag companies, John Deere, New Holland, investing in these large agricultural industrial drones. But I think scale it back to security. Yeah. And there's some crops on the western side of our country that there's a lot of security around them, and they're looking for creative solutions like this. And they are off-grid, large field, that a security mission could be a reality.
Absolutely.
And it's not futuristic at this point.
No.
It is available.
Yeah, the technology's here today. It's legislation that's trying to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you get into the mix on lobbying and legislation?
We have not yet.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Probably for the best. That's a hard road. So we were talking about drones and the future of that market, and I mention it really because it's exciting, and I think it does attract the high schooler that's saying, well, what is in that building? And it captures that it's not just manufacturing, right? That's one component of it, but it's the software.
Yeah.
It's understanding the business strategy. Why do you want the use case? What's the value proposition? And what a gift for high school students. I assume they could intern with you.
Absolutely.
They could come work for you over the summer, work for you flexible schedules. You would work with a high school on what schedules work.
Yep.
Those CTE programs need companies like you, especially in a town that's as small as the Comfort community is. I think it would be really competitive to get in there and be working on the type of work that you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what does that look like in your workforce today? I would put you in the top 3 employers locally, but it hasn't always been easy. Solar and batteries is still, they were still getting some bad press, some positive press, but there was a lot of confusion about it. What has that experience been like for you coming into the Comfort community and helping people understand your vision?
Yeah, well, a lot of people still don't really know what we do.
Yeah.
It is a little bit technical, I guess, but for a while we were labeled as a solar panel manufacturer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge, I guess, educating the community. But to your previous point of some challenges that we face is in a smaller community is finding the skill set required for each one of the jobs on a fast-growing company. You need higher and higher skill sets. So we train them most of the time.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for people in a city or a location that there's a lot of people. I'm from Houston.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Houston want to live in the hill country, and so I think we're a great opportunity that you can still stay in your field, your technical field, in the hill country in a beautiful place. So we'd like to attract talent, but also develop the talent that we have access to here. So
I can see both sides of that, and that's what's great about the Hill Country community. We have people that retire here.
sure.
But retirement's a misnomer in today's world. Like, there's only so much golf that you can play. People coming out of Houston or Dallas or even Austin still look for purpose. They still want to be involved. And what a gift to be able to, if you're in that field, to stay involved.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, whether you're in management, HR, engineering, we have all of those within our company. So,
And a global reach. But then to the point of internships and CTE programs, it's a place in our community, in Comfort's community, where kids can be introduced to software. They can be introduced to manufacturing principles. You spend a lot of time making sure those processes are right. And those are life skills, workforce skills that will make them more hireable in the future, or make them really competitive employees at Connexa.
Yep.
How do you see the 2025 going for Connexa? What are you looking forward to in the coming year?
So an expansion for us, we have a focus on standardization.
Okay.
So we're putting a lot of emphasis on that. We've done a lot of custom work over the years. So we have a growing need for different skill sets around that. We're hiring an engineering, support staff, manufacturing floor staff, team leads, supervisors. So we have a fabrication shop. If you're into metals fabrication, cutting, welding, we have jobs, as well as we have an electrical control panel shop.
Yep.
You can learn a lot of really good transferable skills in there. We're wiring some of the high-tech, state-of-the-art control panels that are powering really critical infrastructure in the United States. So it's a place that you can do that, and it's also fun. I think that the types of products we build are fun. Putting these solar power systems together, whenever you flip the breakers on and you see it all come to life, it's a rewarding thing. So,
well, but to that end, like the machinery you have doing that wire harness assembly is best in class.
Yeah, best in the world.
It really is like being in a Houston facility or a Germany facility that's building for the automotive industry. You're going to see that level of equipment and infrastructure, and that's transferable.
Even sometimes not. A lot of times not. They don't even have this sophisticated of wire harness equipment.
Even better.
Which is kind of funny. Yeah.
But it's because of critical infrastructure and your customer base. You have to stay competitive globally, and that requires that type of investment.
Absolutely.
And for the community, it's an investment in the community because it does allow that to sit here. It does provide access to CTE students or people that are in that job getting that skill.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we bring in experts from, even internationally to help train on that particular robot. So it's a great experience.
And then I'll circle back as we wrap up our conversation. The work that you're doing here in Comfort is changing the world. You're making data, communications, water
absolutely
accessible to people that would not have that opportunity without the work that you're doing. And to have that come out of Comfort, Texas is a great privilege and an opportunity to really highlight what this community is doing and the future it has in front of it.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure to sit down today. Thank you so much for the way that you're building Texas and your investment in Comfort and what that future looks like.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our sponsors who have helped feature Comfort, Texas on the Building Texas Show. Please visit comfort.buildingtexasshow.com to learn more about these sponsors, Comfort, Texas, and to plan your next road trip into the Texas Hill Country. To learn more, visit our website, buildingtexasshow.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook at Building Texas.